Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. This is a podcast where we believe that as you take time for a mindset check, you have more power than you think you do. And where we also believe that there is incredible power in rising with your people. I can't wait to jump into that with you today. I want to chat with you just for a moment before we dive in about the podcast and about how it's feeling and settling for me right now. You may have noticed a little bit of space in between episodes, and that is because I am pouring my entire heart and soul into the Power Up course. And this session of the Power Up course, what I'm doing is really creating the course to be repeatable. So in the future, you would go through with a cohort of people that you do the group coaching and all of the things with, but you can watch the lessons that I'm creating now on replay as they are released for the cohort to experience at the same time. Does that make sense? So like for fall, the lessons that I'm creating now will be released, but there will be group coaching with the group that is signed up specifically for fall in between those lessons to help you really download and apply what we're learning to your own life. And then you'll have options for one-on-one sessions during that session of Power Up as well. So essentially, I'm doing it so that I can offer Power Up more often. And that feels really expansive and really exciting to me because I can also accept more people. It'll still be really intimate, but I'll be able to do a little bit more because there's a lot of time spent group coaching and one-on-one coaching as a group goes through the Power Up course. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And I hope to be able to show up in this space with the podcast monthly until Power Up for the spring has completed. So just to let you know what to expect, know that I'm still here really cheering for you and being a person who really stands in a place for you that breathes encouragement, that breathes motivation, that really helps you, as you listen, kind of set your life to right, to be able to understand and be able to put the pieces together in your life, maybe even a little bit better, because you're taking that introspective time to think about your life. And just know that for all of you that are here listening, I don't take that lightly or for granted. I really, really love this audience. So I do hope that you stick with me through this little bit of a transition time when the podcast has less episodes, but hopefully the episodes are just as powerful when you're able to dive in and check in with me. All right, my friend, I'm really excited for the podcast episode that we have today. Let's jump into it. When my kids were little, I remember listening to a woman talk. I think she was giving some kind of a presentation, or maybe it was just a group of women that I was with, and someone was talking about how we often will go to the grocery store and we'll buy like treats for our kids. And of course, we've thought about dinner and we've thought about all the meals and all of the things, yada, yada, yada. But we buy the treats for our kids. And she kind of gathered a little bit of feedback from those of us that were there. Like, I'm sure that you've all done this week. And then we're like, yeah. And she goes, how many of you also bought a treat for your husband? Ooh. And I felt this literal like jab in my heart. Because I was like, not me. I didn't, And it was incredible, the conversation or the presentation that was being had, that I remember she was essentially really asking us to like not forget our spouse, like to really not forget them. And that memory recently came up for me because I was working with a client, and I've been working with this client for a little while, and she's been going on this journey, right? Where she's awakening to being the creator of her life. And she's having some of the most incredible things happen in her life, things shifting on the outside of her life as a result of the shift that has been happening on the inside. And we were talking about her relationship with her husband. She had a moment that was similar to my candy bar moment, where she realized she wasn't really inviting him to be in it with her, to evolve, to change, to shift. And it made me sit and ponder and just think about how sometimes we actually need to think about it. We actually need to talk about bringing our people with us, bringing them on our journey. And because of the way that we can share with them, they also get a portion of what we're getting, right? And sometimes we don't do it for various reasons. We're busy. Maybe they are turned off to the topic of our growth, of growth at all, or something shifting. There can be so many reasons why we actually don't talk about it. But it's really great to take a moment to recognize that this is something that you do want to talk about. You want to talk about your growth and your insights because they happen little by little for you. But if you are not also communicating that to your people, then your growth can feel like a challenge to them. It can trigger them. And sometimes it does anyway, no matter what. But, because growth is causing us to stretch. It's causing us to step into a space that we're not familiar with and therefore might feel uncomfortable in, especially if we don't have the motivation to feel excited about the shift or the vision to understand what can come from what is shifting. All that the body knows is that it's not comfortable and therefore it can send off signals like this isn't safe, right? And so we can get sort of some disconnectedness as we're going on our journeys in a way that seems like we're going together. But if we're not really having that exchange, then we don't go together. We're going on the journey and kind of hoping maybe that other people will go with us. Or, one day you open your eyes and you see that you're so different from your people and that you forgot to take them with you. And here we are having this conversation so that you buy the candy bar at the grocery store, right? So that you open your mouth and you remember to talk about the ways that you're growing and shifting, the things that you're seeing and the insights that you're having. Because it is a very true belief, right, of mine and that I've been taught that a rising tide lifts all the ships, not just one of the ships. So if water comes into the bay or an area and a rising tide is coming in, right, water is rising up, it's going to lift all of the ships in the bay, not just one. So in other words, when you interpret that to you, the simple fact that you are rising will rise all of the people around you. That's simple truth just because of so many factors that we'll talk about in a minute, right? Like emotional contagion and mirror neurons and the science of our energy and the way that we bring those things forward. Ultimately, when we bring them with us, we collapse time, right? So we can allow our vibration to raise up and they will either raise with us or they will get so uncomfortable that they don't want to be there anyway. And then things will naturally take care of themselves. This isn't something that you have to take care of at all. But I think it's really great for us to truly understand that the invitation, the sharing, the being more open really helps your people come with you. When my kids were little, I was really aware that I didn't want to raise kids that were picky eaters, right? And so I learned something from a nutritionist that I thought was extremely valuable. She said that for kids to begin to like food, that they need to be exposed to it 11 times. And then as they're exposed to it, they become more used to it and they begin to like it. And I think that it's interesting when we look at the way that we expose ourselves to new taste, new foods, new things that we learn to appreciate and really like, that it also applies and correlates to our thoughts, to the patterns and the programs that we run, to our beliefs, to our vibration, right? And when we begin to be exposed to something that's new, that might feel uncomfortable for us, if you can think of it like you would expose a child to something, you wouldn't say, sit down and eat this entire plate of green beans. You would let them taste it, according to what the nutritionist taught us, right? You let them taste it, and you are fine with a taste. You're completely fine that they at least had one green bean. And then you just know that you're going to have them taste another one the next time you have green beans. And the next time and the next time, until they've somewhat, quote, been exposed to it, right? They've had an opportunity for their palate to begin to prefer this new taste. And it's the same with our brains. Sometimes new things that we think, even though they might be better for us, if they feel foreign to us, they feel like a threat. That's why the quote that's famous that says, our nervous system would prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven because we're not used to feeling it. So as you are bringing people on the journey with you, as you are becoming more aware, more able to see and operate in your life, more able to see the story that you're telling and the patterns that you're running in your life, the things that are happening on your journey to really creating your own life, and you're making this commitment to bring your people with you, be content with them trying it so that it no longer feels so foreign to them. And just give them a little bit at a time. It's incredible. And when you expose them to it, they begin to feel more and more comfortable with it. I mean, if I can really be honest with you, I'll tell you that there was a day where a magazine came in the mail. This was maybe 15 years ago. And there was a black and white sort of drawing of a family. But the dad was empty, and there was this dotted line around the dad. Like he was empty. Like he was there holding the hands of mom and one of the kids, and mom was holding the hands of another kid and another kid, whatever. But the outline around the dad was so poignant to me because it reflected exactly how I felt. I felt like my husband wasn't emotionally involved or checked into our life. And now I feel like things are very different. And so I just want you to understand, if you're in that or something that looks like that, like you're normal, and a lot of people experience that, but also to give them a taste of what you continue to know lifts you and changes you. The way that a bamboo grows is fascinating to me because it spends years growing roots underground before it ever breaks the surface. And then bamboo shoots up rapidly. So it can seem for a very long time, like if you're the gardener of bamboo, you're like, well, that really is turning out well for us. I mean, we're talking years that the bamboo grows underneath the ground. And that can be reflective of how life feels for you as well. That there's this sort of breeding ground or time of invisible growth, and it doesn't look like anything's happening. But then all of a sudden, you do rise above the surface, and then it's undeniable, and other people can recognize the difference. So I'm telling you this to help you really ignite and understand that the feeling of like, oh my word, I'm going somewhere and my people aren't coming with me is very normal. And for you to look at your life from an angle of like, oh my word, I am going somewhere and I want to take my people with me. So how do I do that? And giving full recognition and compassion for the situation, no matter what it is. Because you see, wherever people are, they got there somehow. People that are sour and mean didn't just wake up being sour and mean. Or whatever you want to fill in. People that are completely oblivious didn't just wake up being oblivious. Or people that are super negative and critical and judgmental, they didn't just wake up and choose that. They were shown patterns of how to operate by what they observed and by what they experienced themselves. And so when we look at their life, we can have more compassion on where they are and why it might feel threatening for you to be doing something different. There's the crabs in the bucket phenomenon that I recently shared with my class in Power Up it's fascinating to think about that when you put these crabs in a bucket, that they don't need a lid to keep them in the bucket, as long as there's 2 or more crabs in the bucket. Because as one of the crabs begins to try to climb out, the crab beneath them, just trying to save themselves, will pull on the legs of the other crab, and they cannot ever make any headway. They can't ever get out of the bucket. And a lot of times that metaphor applies to life, because people resist, especially your growth, but it's not because they don't want you to expand. It's because maybe they feel threatened by you expanding, or maybe they want to keep you with them in those low vibrations and those low energy spaces. And there's so many ways that metaphor applies to our life. Like, what do we do when we're the person that keeps getting pulled down, right? And how do we still rise above that and all of these things? But it's for the sake of this podcast alone, it's really great just to understand that when they act like that, it is what they've learned. It's been part of their journey. It's not really that they've thought it through and that they want to hold you back, or that they don't want to go on this journey with you. They don't even know what's possible. So when we really stand back and look at it, we can find compassion over judgment for our people, and we can also evaluate our actions and try to figure out how do we bring them with us. You don't drag people, right? That's a low vibration. You become an invitation. You offer a green bean, a little taste, only one. You offer it and you let them. And then you continue to be. You continue to elevate who you are and your evolution. What really happens is that you stop entertaining those low vibration states with your other person, and actually triggers them because you were a source to the low vibration for them. And when you pull back from that and they're not used to that, sometimes things can go haywire, but that's okay. That's okay, because you just stay strong and you keep rising and surrounding yourself with all the messages and all the correct coaching and all the things so that you can continue to rise. And as you stay with it, right? As long as you keep holding in that space, you get to bring people with you. So there's one piece of science that I really want to point out to you, and that's emotional contagion. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but if you think of it like, anything that's contagious, that humans can literally catch emotions from each other, That's a true, real scientific thing. And it's because we have this biofield of energy. And what we are experiencing, we're also offering for others to experience. So as you experience high vibration, good feelings, good energy, you're also offering it to other people. Your energy isn't private, it's contagious. And it's incredible when you think of that. Even in when people are so used to low vibration states, if you can think of yourself just offering love and high vibration just because of what you are holding inside of you, it doesn't even mean that you need to walk around and talk. Just love inside of you, and other people feel that. The most powerful way to take people with you is to go first. So take a moment just right now and think about the people that are around you, and who can you influence and who can you take with you? Who can you give a little taste to? And whatever comes to you, take some action in that space. And when you do this, you become a difference maker. You become a person who changes the lives around you. You become a person that helps other people believe that there is more that is possible, that there are different feeling states that you can experience no matter what's happening in your life. And it's not because you told them how to do it, but because you showed them what it feels like. You offered them samples and little tastes along the way. You communicated from your heart what you are experiencing. So I hope that you can see that by the way that you hold your vibration, your energy, and in your sharing, that you have more power than you think you do in bringing your people with you. And that is one of the most successful feelings at the end of the day, when you stand with people who get what you get. It's incredible. All right, my friend, I really hope that you have an amazing takeaway, some awareness from this episode that you didn't have before. I hope you also felt encouragement and motivation. And if you did, then please share this podcast episode with a friend. And make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss future episodes. Before we go, I want to leave you with a quote from Marianne Williamson. She says, "As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same." Until next time, my friend.